Now, how are we going to fix this? As you can see, right here, contact is broken right off. I'll have to figure out, it should be under there with a contact on it, like here. Right here. The cam comes down, the lobe. It lifts that up. Alright, well, I am back. And I figured something out. Now, that is not that piece. And this one here, that is obviously not the right piece, because as you can see, it was busted, or the contact was missing there completely. It was like a U, and these are not like that. These are underneath. You'll see they have the contact, like a hole drilled through, and they got the contact on it. Well, not that one. It just had like a U channel, and there was no contact. So what I did is I pulled an old humidistat I had apart, just to get to the contact. And you see the copper contact there, and I cut it. It's kind of thin, so I cut it with just a pair of house scissors, shaped it so it would fit in there, and I got in such a way that the U channel, or little forks on that little strip, and that's a very thin strip, are actually holding it down. And I drilled a little hole where the spring goes through to hold it in place. So that little spring underneath actually is holding the, right there, it actually goes through that little piece of copper, and the strip that originally had the hole in it, so that's holding that in place. Now these are easy to move, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clean the contacts before pulling that back down and showing you the works of it. But so far so good. It looks like it might work. You know, when you have no friends in the Thunderbird industry, sometimes you just gotta, can't find these parts, you can't buy them unless you find somebody with used parts, but everybody wants to keep them for the same reason that, you know, they may have to rebuild their own. So sometimes you just got to work with what you have, and hey, form a part, get it in there. What do you think, Joe? Joe down in Arkansas, I've been watching you. And Nick, Vintage Thunderbird Repair. Hey, I watched your video on how to pull this out and clean the contacts or change these little parts here underneath. But when you don't have one and you got to repair it, you know, if you guys want more information about how I did that, I should have been taking a video as I was doing it, but I didn't. And I'm not pulling this thing apart to show you, because it is a kind of little bugger to get this thing all back in place and stuff. Especially when this little copper tab here, I didn't want to put any epoxy or JB weld or glue or anything in there, because it might have, you know, affected the mating between the two metals. So we need to have the conductor going through there, the electricity, 12 volts, to go through that contact and up to that one that I have bent out of the way. But let me clean these contacts. I'll clean it all up, and I got some contact cleaner. We'll just clean it all up, and I'll bend that back down, and it should work. And well, let's have a look at that. Thank you. We'll see you soon. Well, I'm back, and I took it all apart again to clean the contacts a little better now. And I don't know how I'm going to hold the camera here and show you what I did, but it's basically, this thing's cut here, right? And that slides under this channel here. You see how it's not like the other ones, but that kind of going to go under like that, I have it fit so those things fit on top of that. I can't really do it with one hand. And then that's going to fit, and then that hole here that I drilled right there in the little copper piece is going to line up with this hole, and that's where this spring is going to go through both of them, and it's going to hold that in place, and then that is going to get put into here. And before I took it apart again, it was working really well, but I wanted to clean the contacts before doing that. And as I was cleaning the contacts, I decided I was just going to pull it apart again, just so I can try and show if anybody asks, because as Joe says down in Arkansas, sooner or later you're going to have to work on this yourself, and you may not have spare parts. So that's my fix. This part here came out of, I got all the parts laying around here. It came out of that's actually an old Honeywell humidistat there that I had laying around. So I took it apart just to see if I could use a contact, and holy cow, I got lucky that it's thin enough copper that I was able to trim it and make it fit just right with a pair of house scissors. So I'm going to put that back together and put it back in there, and we'll check the operation. I'm just going to show you, if that focuses, you can see how the spring in the back is gone through the original piece and caught onto through the hole in the back of that copper contact. So that's going to hold that in place, because it's pretty tight around the channel in the front there. That's holding it in place pretty tight. That's not going to move. So let's get it right back together. All right, I got that little thing in there, and that's a bit of a pain in the butt there too. All right, I got that thing in there, and I got to tell you that right there, putting that piece back in there is a real pain in the butt. Nick shows you how to do it on his on vintage Thunderbird repair. I didn't have such an easy time like he did, but I got it in there, and now I just got to bend that little thing back, and we'll check the performance of it. Okay, well, here we go. It's all back together. Contacts are clean, so that's working. The one I fixed seems moving free. The other ones, well, I guess we'll tell once we get it back together and wire it up. But right now it's working pretty good. I know it looks a little rough, but hey, we'll see. So far so good. So there you go. There's an idea on how to fix your sequential turn signal motor, worm gear, contacts when you don't have the parts available. You have to make them. So hopefully that helps. Well, there you go. Seems to be working good. I gotta hold it like this because my wire broke off. I'm just holding it. I gotta solder that. But look at that contact go. Awesome. All right. Well, that's a job. Just gonna put a little silicone grease on that, like our friend Joe did. John, sorry. I don't know why I keep calling you. Anyways, sorry, and learned a lot from you and from Nick. And there's a little repair. If anybody needs to know how I did it, yeah, send me an email. Thank you. Bye.
I have the clock out, and this thing was absolutely seized up. And I just have it on the bench right now with. I sprayed it full of lubricant, and I had to pull this pin out, and that you pull it out and you adjust the gears, and not adjust the gears, it adjusts the time, and you spin that, and I had a bunch of lube in there, WD-40 actually, and I was spinning it, and it worked itself loose, and I just kept going and cleaning it and doing that, and then finally I put the power on it and it started working. So I let that run for a little bit, and then I cleaned out the WD-40 because that's not really lube, and then cleaned that all out, and then I put some gear lube in there, just some silicone lube, and look at that. This thing, I've had it on the bench here for 2 weeks now, and it runs a little fast, probably gains about 3 minutes to 4 minutes a day, but I don't really care because you know, it just looks good in the car running. So there, don't be afraid to open these things up and carefully and get it working.
Well, looking like we got some success. Seems to be working really good. Well, there you go. And installed. And geez, a lot of chrome in that car, isn't there? It'd be nice to take it out for a drive, but this is good old Canada, which means you can only take it out, I don't know, 6 months out of the year. So, this is Brian, signing off.